Good morning, guys. Welcome. This is Liverpool FC Wire. I'm Owen James. This is your Liverpool News Update. It is the 14th of August, and Liverpool play this weekend, Sunday. Two games on Sunday, a behind closed doors game. I think that's mainly for the younger players and some of the squad options, and then obviously the actual game at Anfield, 5:30. Liverpool taking on Como in the final pre-season friendly ahead of the first Premier League game following Sunday against Newcastle United at St James's Park. A game that will, I think, go a long way to show us how Liverpool will start to fare this season. And look, I think as I showed you that graphic at the start, pulled it up there, 18 days, approximately 432 hours left until the 1st of September rolls around. And time is ticking. Time is ticking. And I think, look, blame has been thrown around everywhere, isn't it? Is it Richard Hughes to blame? Is it FSG to blame? Who is to blame for this very underwhelming transfer window so far? And look, I think even if Bradley Barca is brought in to add to Ronald Araujo, the loanee from Barcelona, Victor Munoz and Jeremy Jacquet, I still think it is an exceptionally underwhelming window from Liverpool. I think one of the biggest frustrating things for me is this. We go back to the end of Arne Slot's period in charge of the club, and people talked at that point, didn't they, about the fact that this summer would be a summer of major surgery, a summer of rebuild, a summer of a number of players being brought in, the manager being fully backed. That was all the conversation, and that was coming from the club. That was coming from Slot himself, actually, about new signings coming in over the summer. And it has failed to materialise. Now, like I said, is that because of the fact that Richard Hughes is so grossly incompetent at his job that he can't get the job done and his head is elsewhere? Or is it down to the fact that FSG are not willing to release the funds necessary to allow Liverpool to strengthen in the right areas? Are FSG so sort of preoccupied with this consortium that are buying into the club, around 36% of the football club, waiting for the money to come from that before they put any money forward? And are FSG looking for a way out and are unwilling to spend that extra money? Is that the story? I don't know. Look, that is a lot of the conversations that are going around at this present moment in time. Right, we're going to look at a couple of transfers links. No Barca this morning. We were going to stay away from the old Barca this morning, the Barca saga. We're going to talk about a right back from Barcelona who has been linked with a move to Liverpool. Also linked with Everton, Spurs as well. And we're also going to talk as well about a youngster who is on his way out of the club too. Right, let's start off with news of Hector Fort, the Barcelona right back. 20 years old, a young man looking to establish himself somewhere, looking to get regular first team minutes. And now look, Everton reportedly were the first club to go in for this player. Could this be Liverpool hijacking Everton's transfer business? Possibly. Spurs also, big spender Spurs also allegedly interested in this young man as well. Here he is. Here's some facts and stats about the young lad. Are we going to build a fort? There we go. Get the Fort joke in. Hector Fort Garcia is his full name. He's 20 years old. He was born in Barcelona, so he is a Catalan. He's 6'1", Spanish in the 20 international. He's a right back, a right-footed right back. Revolutionary. A right back who is right-footed and plays at right back. Jesus, who would ever thought that was an actual possibility? Don't know, Arne Slot didn't think it was, did he? Anyway, look, he is under contract, obviously, at this present moment in time, but Barcelona are willing to sell him and allow him to leave the football club. Hence the number of English suitors for this promising young right back. And many people feel that this guy, who he likes to get forward, he likes to attack, but he can also defend as well. He's up for the high press. He's up for the overlap. He's up for linking up with fullbacks. He's defensively sound. That he could fit into Andoni Iraiola's system absolutely perfectly. And this could be a move that Liverpool could look at making. In terms of his career, obviously, all his career experience coming at FC Barcelona. Now, look, I think very much like Gerard Piqué in the past and others, Cesc Fabregas, I think if Hector Fort was sold, I think it would be a case of a sale with a buyback clause inserted at some point. Barcelona like to do that with their young players. He's made 30 appearances for Barcelona's first team with 3 goals. He also made 18 appearances for FC Barcelona Athletic, their B team, 2 appearances and a goal. He made 17 appearances on loan at Elche and played 7 times in the UEFA Under-19 League for Barcelona as well. If you look at his competition experience, he's played La Liga, he's played in the UEFA Youth League, he's played in the Copa del Rey, he's got Champions League experience, he's played in a number of competitions. He was on the bench in the Super Copa, although he didn't get on. So he has got a wide and varied experience, around him. Now, like I said, this is a player that reportedly is interesting Liverpool. Now, Liverpool continue to be linked with right backs. Look, I think, right back, it is a position of need. It is still a position of need. Conor Bradley, obviously still returning from injury. People saying it's going to be September, October, maybe before he is even able to think about returning to get to the team. And look, I think initially, Conor is not going to be thrown straight back into first team action. It's not like Conor's going to be back fit, in he goes straight away. It's going to be a case of bringing him back gradually, introducing him from the bench and easing his recovery back so we don't get any repeat of those injuries that have plagued Conor Bradley's time. Jeremy Frimpong, of course, has struggled massively as a right back. Joe Gomez injured. Now, Ronald Araujo, we've said, can play as a right back. However, even with Xhaka returning to training yesterday, Jeremy Xhaka has not played first team football for 6 months. It's thought that, even if Xhaka plays on Sunday, that he will not be ready for the first game of the season against Newcastle. So it is very much a case that Ronald Araujo will be needed to play centre-back alongside Virgil van Dijk. And it may be that Araujo is seen there as a bit of a longer-term option whilst they bring through Xhaka and they bring through Leone. Leone obviously not putting me back till around September time. So that still needs, I think, a bit of a need there for a fullback to come in. Hence why this link to Hector Fort this morning, guys. Look, I'd love to know your thoughts. Is Hector Fort a realistic prospect for Liverpool? Look, I think, I'll be honest with you, I've said it all along. I think, they do need... They do need a fullback. They do need a proper fullback. I think, it's all very well and good signing these hybrids. It's all very well and good saying that, look, at the end of the day, this is our option. But Hector Fort, look, he's not going to be massively expensive, around 10, 11 million. It would be, I think, a good short-term measure and a good measure to come in and bring in and kind of fill that gap at this moment in time. Guys, let me know your thoughts on that one in the comments. Right, a player who is likely to leave, well, it will be leaving on loan, is left-back Callum Scanlon. Callum played quite well, didn't he, on the pre-season tour of... in America. I remember against Sunderland he came on and played very, very well indeed. Also played against Wrexham as well. However, he's going to be going to Cardiff City on loan. So obviously, we wish the youngster very well, but obviously he's clearly not part of the first team plans this season. I think Scanlon is a player who, let's get him some experience and let's hope he comes back an even better player, ready to kind of compete for that left back slot. I think left back obviously is still a slight concern as well, and I think a lot of people saw Callum Scanlon as maybe an option there. However, obviously with him going out on loan now, he's not. Obviously Chambers could be an option at left back. Kostas Tsimikas is still, to me, is not good enough as a backup to Milos Kerkesh. He's certainly not in the same sort of level as Andy Robertson. Personally, look, I think Hector Fort as well, going back to the Hector Fort situation, he can play as a left back as well, which could provide useful cover for Liverpool in that slot. Again, like I said, guys, I'd love to know your thoughts on that one. But look, a penny for this man's thoughts this morning. Yes, he had Alexis McAllister back in training yesterday. It'd be interesting to see if Alexis features on Sunday. But it'd be interesting to see. I'd love to know what he is honestly thinking about this rebuild that is not taking place this summer, about the lack of players that have come in to his squad. Look, as I said, 18 days to go. Business needs to get moving now. Look, do we believe Fabrizio Romano when he said Liverpool will be very busy in the last few days of the window? Let's hope that we are. We still need a number of players to make this squad truly competitive. Guys, I'd love to know your thoughts. Please drop me a comment. Obviously, as well, I'd love you to subscribe to the channel, help us to keep on growing. Please share, comment, and like. And I'll catch you very, very soon here on Liverpool FC Wire.